Hi. You don't have your life all figured out, looking around and wondering why you're the only one that doesn't have it figured out? Guess what? I think everybody doesn't quite have it all figured out, and I think we might be pretending to make it look like we do. But meanwhile, especially in these times, a lot of things are up in the air. And I think it's normal to feel a little bit lost and feel that you don't have things quite all lined up or figured out yet. So if you're new to this channel, my name is Jose Lindsay, and this is Spiritual Shenanigans. The reason I call it Spiritual Shenanigans is I took something that's usually serious, like spirituality, and I blended it with the word shenanigans because that sort of describes this channel. I've been on a journey for a long time. I would say that I'm spiritual, but I also don't think it's so serious, and I've learned a lot of lessons, which I share out loud, but it's also not always pretty, and there's some messy things in between as you're awakening, and that's where I am being honest about those things, and I'm going to share them just like I will today. I'm going to be very honest about some things that I don't have figured out, but also to let you know that it's okay. So by me sharing some things about my life, I hope it makes you feel okay about your life, because I think a lot of people that have channels, and what I've observed in the YouTube world or anywhere where there's a shared platform, in the self-help, spiritual worlds, it's always packaged like the experts, gurus, spiritual leaders, or whoever you're watching make it seem like they have everything figured out. And it's almost like they're talking to you from a pedestal of having it all figured out. And sometimes it can feel sort of talking down to you. Not all of them, some of them. And I wanted to have this channel where you could relate to somebody. I'm just like you. I'm on the path trying to figure things out. When I say I'm spiritual, I've awakened to a certain degree where I'm no longer maybe just following programs that were taught and just questioning a lot of things, and also questioning a lot of things in a religion I was in and no longer religious, but do believe in something like source, the field, we're all connected, things like that. So when you're going through an awakening, you're starting to question some things that you've thought of your whole life, things can get a little wonky, things can get a little weird where you feel lost. And I think that is totally normal. We have somewhat of a story going that I don't think is true, that you, at a young age, pick a career and then you do that career and whatever, get your family, your house, whatever, and it's a straight line, and here's the finishing point, and then you retire, and then you have your happy life. My path has been sort of like following something like that, pause, huge stop sign, hit a ditch in the water, go across, then hit a forest with rocks, try to climb it, then a prickly path, and then down back into a valley, then something that you're climbing. It's like the path is very much far from a straight line. And I think that might be a more normal path than what we say it is. So if you're like me, as you awaken, for me, it was very hard to then stay in more traditional jobs. As your heart awakens, it wants you to do the things that light you up, the things that you find joy with. And it's very difficult to keep going in your job when you feel that way. So I tend to work for a bit, stop for a while because I can't do it anymore, then work for a bit, then stop for a while, then work for a bit, then stop for a while. That's how I've been able to be in between going from the old system to somewhere different. Now, I know that law of attraction and or changing timelines, or depending on what you're into, is possible. But I also know that if you're like me and you have a lot of programming, it's not as easy and straightforward as people make it seem to be, because basically what you believe is what you create. And if you have a lot of the programming, it's sort of like you believe enough and then you go back and then you believe and then you go back and then you believe and then you go back. So when we talk about, having all your stuff figured out, well, the old definition is stick to a job until you retire, get everything in order, and then have your retirement plan and then go off into the sunset, I guess. My definition of having everything figured out is a little bit different now. I don't want you looking at this channel and thinking that I have everything figured out. Some of you comment that, thank you so much for this inspirational message. This means a lot to me. Or Kathy, if you're out there, she sends me, thank you for sharing your light and love, comments like that. I appreciate that, Kathy. Thank you. But yes, I figured out a lot of things internally. So I do have an intention to share light, to share love. I am a very compassionate person. I have a lot of things that I've done right. I think I'm good at making you feel connected to me, that I am sending you light and love as I'm doing these messages. The only reason I'm doing this is to uplift, share some inspiration, some positivity. But even though that I have some things to share and I've figured out things within, and you can see in my happiness series, these are all things that I've learned along the way that I'm sharing with you. But not all the pieces are figured out all the time. Like, I'm 51 and I'm renting this house. And the reason I'm telling you that is because sometimes things, you have it and then it falls apart a little bit, and then you have it and then it falls apart a little bit. I was a homeowner at 22, sold my townhouse, our townhouse. I was married at the time. We went into a single family home. We had a great home, large lot in a desirable neighborhood. So I owned while I was really young. And then ever since my divorce several years ago, it just hasn't been in the cards. Like I said, for my job, I tend to work for a while, then stop, then work for a while and stop. So I'm renting my home. And I may not have the material things that other people may have at 51. But what's your idea of having everything in place? What's your idea in success? Like, I look around and I wouldn't trade my life for anybody else, even though they have the material things. And at this point, my friends have had their jobs for 25, 26 years. And yes, they will go into their retirement, but a lot of them are burnt out. A lot of them, when I don't hang out with my friends much anymore, but a lot of them used to cope with really hard jobs with, drinking at the end of the day and just to cope, which is, if that's what you're doing, that's okay. I'm not judging. It's just, I have other things figured out that are internal. Like, I have internal joy. I have being in the present moment. When I navigate, life, I'm just looking at life in a very different way. And I might be a weirdo, but where I feel comfortable and is my home is in the forest with trees, and less and less with people and parties and things that, they're discussing, either accumulating their things or what they bought or the latest, I don't know, TV shows and things like that. And like I said, I spend more time by myself. I'm sharing some information through YouTube, and I live a pretty happy life. So it just depends on, when you say, like, I don't have all my things figured out. I don't know that anybody has everything figured out all at the same time. Like, if somebody has all the material possessions, or they're going on trips, or there's something that you're looking at in their life that you're like, oh man, I wish I had that. Well, there might be things that you're spending time on. And if you're listening to a channel like this, you're awakening and you're into broadening what you think about and starting to connect to the heart, and maybe opening your mind to different ways of thinking in the world, different ways of perceiving. And it's very different than somebody else's path. When you're in I'm going to say matrix. So The reason that you're feeling a little bit lost right now is because you were in a matrix. And when I say the matrix is just a more controlled environment and following society, and you've gone to school and school taught you to do certain things and get that job and whatever. And then society sort of programs you. It's what you call manufactured consent and showing you all the ads and everything so that you just stay controlled. You never think out of the box and you just buy all of the things and you become a consumer and you don't question the system, right? So if you want to call that the matrix. When you're in the matrix and then you're starting to awaken and starting to see around like what's going on, and then you're following more your heart, that transition, so there is a way to follow your heart and make income in a heart-centered way. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. So I can tell that I'm in the middle, okay? So I started the YouTube channel and I have some ideas of what to do, and I'll probably start some programs for children and maybe do a Spark Academy or something like that for kids, and I might do some talks. And I can see where this could go, where you have a heart-centered approach, and it's also your income. But that takes a long time from, to me, my experience, from in the matrix doing a job that you don't like to awakening to thinking a different way to actually making an income on something else. There's a transition. And if you're just starting to wake up from that matrix, that's where things feel a little bit lost. That's where things feel like you don't have things figured out. That's where things, you might start taking more risks when you start to realize that money and being burnt out isn't the best choice for you. You might start to do choices where you're working less, making less money, so that you can have more time to go out in nature and do other things. So as your priorities shift, you may, for example, make less money, but your priorities are different. You're still making it in the world. It's just you might not have all the material possessions and going on the trips and things like that. But if you ask me, that's having things figured out. That's having good priorities. You just can't compare yourself to other people. Like I said, that transition from just following what other people are doing to following your own heart, you're gonna feel crazy. People are not going to understand you. Your own family will probably have some issues with it. I also don't want you to think that I've got things figured out and I've got everybody on board and everybody's looking at me like I'm, oh yeah, you're full of light and love and everybody loves you. My whole family thinks I am a little bit weird. The only one in my family that watches videos occasionally is my mom, but even then she was asking me how to fast forward them the other day because she doesn't want to watch them all or watch the whole thing, which is fine. I'm just saying whatever you get into, for me, it's making these videos, but for you, it could be painting, baking, cooking, whatever following your heart looks like for you. And people will be like, what the hell are you doing? You're a banker making 6 figures and now you're working part-time over there and then you're making this whatever on the side. Like, come on, give me a break. There's no future in that. So these are the messages you're going to come across. The other thing I wanted to mention, when you're feeling a little bit like maybe there's something wrong with you, what's going on, I don't have all my stuff together, you're going to maybe start to look at other people. Like, that might be why you found me, because you can relate to me. But my message is always, I'm sharing with you just to show you that it's not that straightforward, and I'll always be honest with you along my path and my journey. Just be aware or cautious of, at this time, experts, gurus, or even spiritual leaders. Sometimes when you feel lost and you don't have your stuff together, you're sort of looking for guidance. And because we've been taught our whole life that guidance comes outside of you, ask your parent, ask your teacher, ask your priest, ask your whatever, ask your friend, ask. The answers are always outside of you. the power is outside. We've never been taught that all the answers are within and all of your power is within. Because the awareness is just coming online, if you will, when you feel lost, you're going to look for that guidance and just be very cautious. Whoever you're looking to for information, if they are letting you know that your answers are within, it's your inner guidance, ask yourself the questions or ask your higher self, and to look more within and to be more quiet. That's somebody leading you in the right direction. The direction is always back within yourself. Be very cautious if an expert, guru, or even spiritual leader guides you to their theories, their way, do these steps, and that salvation or happiness or whatever it is through them. Okay? Be very careful of that, because sometimes it's when people are most vulnerable that they go into these traps of it feel like they're helping you, but it's really not. It's sort of like somebody once said, I related to it a lot, even in religion or whatever, when somebody's trying to show you like the way or something that's good or something that's helpful, it's like they're pointing to the moonlight and saying, look, the light is there. Isn't that wonderful? They're like, well, in spirituality and in religion, they're idolizing the person that's pointing to the moon. But it's not the person that's pointing to the moon, it's the moon itself, if that makes any sense. So your salvation, your happiness, your connection to something greater is always within. It's always the light within. Just because somebody is helping you get there doesn't mean you're idolizing that person, that expert, that guru, right? Don't idolize the person that's pointing, idolize the thing that they're pointing at, right? Which is light, consciousness, source, the field, whatever that is. And speaking about that, when you're going within for answers, this is what's really important. You have to get off your phone, TV, distractions, things like that, because it's almost impossible to find answers, go within, and find yourself going within when you're always distracted. I see people going in nature all the time because that's my happy place, going in nature. They're either with somebody talking straight with no breaks, or they're on their phone in nature walking and not paying attention to anything. Or if you're at home and you're on your phone all the time, or you've got the TV on and the phone on at the same time, or you're constantly having to have the radio on something in the background, you will never be able to find clarity. You'll never be able to find the next step to take, because to be able to be guided from within, you have to be able to listen. You have to be able to be quiet. That can be in meditation or just sit with yourself. You can't find any answers when everything is on in full blast around you. So a really good place to start is going in nature with no phone. Don't even bring the phone with you, because then if it buzzes or if there's a notification and you're going through the forest wondering who it was that texted you or whatever that notification is. You don't want to have your brain on monkey mind just thinking of crazy things or work or whatever. As you're entering a forest or a park or wherever, you want to have an intention of just being present or connecting with whatever it is, if it's grass or trees or whatever. And you want to look around and be present. Really listen to the leaves in the tree. Really listen to the quiet. Listen, like right now, it's fall. There's a lot of leaves on the ground. And I can hear all the chipmunks and the squirrels walking on the leaves, and it makes a certain sound. And I can also see the leaves falling, which is really beautiful. And I've been spending just more and more time outside. I used to take, 10-minute walk, 15-minute walk. Now I'm out there about an hour. So do whatever feels right for you. These are things that are helpful because you're like, well, I don't know what the answers are. You won't know unless you start to be a little bit more quiet. You start to be a little bit more intentional about it, to listen to yourself. Or you can listen to a meditation or just meditation music to just calm yourself down. So I think of life like puzzle pieces coming together. But sometimes I want the puzzle piece, like I have the board and I just want to make the puzzle pieces fit. And even if there's not the right piece, you just jam it in place and you want to make all the pieces fit quickly and just have it done. But I've noticed that it doesn't work like that. There's a puzzle and it's like a long game, and the pieces sort of fall in place over time. And then you get to see what the picture is after a long time. So let's say there was no box that you saw what the picture was. At first, when you're putting the pieces together, you're like, I don't even know what this image is supposed to be. But I could put that piece and I can figure out that piece. And let's say it's 1,000 pieces. Literally by putting one piece at a time slowly and figuring it out, you're like, okay. This is a picture of horse in a pasture. But it took you about 50 pieces to figure out that it's even a horse, because when all the pieces were, not together, you don't even know that it's an animal. And that's a weird analogy, but that's as I'm like going through life and in these odd stages sometimes. That's what it feels like. Like at the beginning, you don't even know what the puzzle is, and you're collecting pieces and you don't even know where it's going. Like this YouTube channel, I don't know where I'm going to end up. But this is a few puzzle pieces that I know how to do these. So they're on the board and they're sort of fitting together. And the process might be a little bit slower than I would like, because I've been working on a book and trying to have uplifting and positive content for about 15 years, but I can actually see why it's taking this long, because in 15 years for my story, man, am I way more humble now than I would have been 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I have all this information that is like the self-development. I followed it. I'm good. And then, you sell your books, and then I might have been the one speaking from a pedestal saying, I have figured life out. And because life has kicked my ass like quite a few times and been humbled, but like more than I would like, it's made me connect to people way more. That's probably why you're resonating with me. I am like you, and I'm not trying to be any different, because, like I said, life's kicked my ass. And when it's kicked your ass, you have to figure out how to be happy in those moments. You have to figure out, what am I going to do that's heart-centered, even though that nobody understands me? How does this work? Because it's taken me a while, and those puzzle pieces, like I said, are coming slowly. I think that's how most people's lives are. So because it didn't come quickly, when I talk about something, you're like, yeah, that sounds more like me. My path is like super like crazy like hers, because I think that's more common than you wake up one day, you're enlightened, you have everything figured out, and everything is rainbow and butterflies, right? I think what we're doing is a little bit more common. I've shared this with you so that you can see that I'm on the path just like you. There's never going to be a message where I preach down, I know more than you do. I may have been on the path a little bit longer, or maybe I've learned some things differently, and literally I just share what I've learned. What feels good, what doesn't feel good as you're navigating this path. And hopefully that's helpful to you. My goal is that you connect to somebody that's similar to you, and that you don't feel bad about yourself, that you give yourself a break, that you see somebody else that's, yes, got light, love, got all the right intentions, but sometimes life isn't always working out the exact way that you want, and just to trust and believe that things will work out. So I'm there right along with you. When you think that you don't have things figured out, just try to see it in a different perspective and try to see it like that puzzle. It's on the board. You're putting those pieces together, and just because you don't see the whole picture yet doesn't mean you're not figuring out little micro pieces at a time. Eventually, it will make sense. So instead of forcing those pieces together, just let it sit. You will see that things tend to fall in place with time without forcing it, letting it go, having some trust that life is working itself out for you for the best. I hope this was helpful. My name is Jose Lindsay. This is Spiritual Shenanigans. Much love.